What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be taking a look over here at the Bitcoin price chart as Bitcoin, the altcoin market, the crypto market, flashes a bunch of green today after yesterday's massive sell-off throughout broader markets in every asset class. While there is some green over there in the stock market today, nothing really reversing all the things that have happened over the last 3 trading sessions. So personally, it is still an observe situation for me right now as we're watching this market, but there are a couple of things that are of interest and things that I'm keeping my eyes on. Yesterday, I released a video before the stock market had opened. I had mentioned things that I'd be looking for would be if we saw something like massive reversal volume take place over there on Bitcoin. As you can see, the day is still young, but we are about halfway through it. On the daily time frame, there's nothing really to run and tell mom about when it comes to volume, at least on the daily time frame. But there is one thing that does perk my interest slightly, is that if we actually just move down one time frame and rather than look at daily candles and look at 12-hour candles, there actually was massive buy volume that came in here on the 12-hour time frame. So really kind of intraday, we did see buyers step in there for the Bitcoin price chart. However, on the daily, nothing really exciting going on in here, but certainly something very interesting on the 12-hour. So really kind of looking to see if there's going to be any follow through in here. One of those things that we've looked at has been Bitcoin, just looking at it from the inverse perspective to see Wyckoff. We're actually at a very interesting level right now to see if there actually can be follow through on that volume to push those prices back up and not become struggled and stopped right here. So hard to say a lot about Bitcoin today while making a video, with it being kind of in this position. Nothing super impressive on the daily volume. However, intraday on the 12-hour, there certainly was more buy volume showed up than all that liquidating sell volume. That's a good sign, but certainly would like to see it get through that, $56,500 and squeeze through there and hold above that, which if we're not inverted, right, just getting our way through there. So that's kind of the thing. Watch for the next day or two. The thing that does have me more interested is really what's going on in the altcoin market. So we'll talk about a couple of things going on over there. Now, a newsletter was released just a few days ago over here on Substack at blockchainbacker.substack.com. And they're going through the 2017 cycles, the 2021 cycles, where we are right now in the crypto market, and that we've entered into this window here in August where if cycles are going to be true, which it certainly feels like 95% of crypto Twitter and influencers depend on crypto cycles being true, we've literally entered into the window of when those things took off in past cycles, not just based on dominances, which we have here on the screen, but when we're looking at time elapsed after capitulation bottoms. August represents that moment that was consistent between past cycles of when the market should get moving. One thing that's been interesting is that we've been looking at these dominances as well. On the top up here, I have the safety trade, which has been Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, and USDC. On the bottom, we've just got the Bitcoin dominance down in here. I've talked about this in past live streams. I've talked about this in past videos, that really the marker on here was more like August 5th. Was that where the dynamic of the market shifted? As you know, yesterday was a pretty dramatic market event that ended up happening, not just in crypto, but globally. But as we finally approach this day over here on August 5th of that dynamic shift of 2021 and 2017, there were actually some interesting signatures that showed up over here on the safety trade dominances, and that there was actually massive sell volume in regards to the dominance of the safety trade and down here in regards to Bitcoin dominance on the exact day of when we should see things start to change dynamically between the market. Now, as we've talked about in past videos and live streams, even in the event of this occurring, it really only gives about a month and a half of the market being able to do something significant before it became kind of a lights out situation. And maybe that is the warning that we're actually getting from the United States stock market right now. But there's something else that I've been looking at, because I'm always trying to find confluences within the market for something telling us a story that we're not necessarily just going to see by looking at the Bitcoin price chart. trying to find those really underlying tones that are happening in the market dynamics. But this is Solana. I'm sure many of you know that. And I'm not here to actually perpetuate that. I'm really very excited about Solana. Really, the majority of the percentages were done in its retracement after the FTX collapse. 2,500% after a massive 96% crash, taking it back to its retracement levels. But what does intrigue me over here on the Solana price chart is really this stuff back in here. Like many, I'm sure, I've tried to do my due diligence to see if I can spot what would be the Solana of 2024. I don't have that answer for you. I'm not here to tell you the assets I have identified are the ones that are going to be the Solanas of 2024. But things I've really paid attention to are things like this price action. The true bull run of the cryptocurrency market didn't kick off until late December of 2020 and then into 2021, peaking there in May of 2021. That was really the whole bull run of the cryptocurrency market. That rally right there for Solana is a massive 5,500%. But the question is, have we started doing these kinds of corrections anywhere in the market? Maybe in newer assets that are flashing things like that, something that would be like wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that this would be wave 2 correction, which is this whole thing. This is all prior to Bitcoin going and exploding into the new all-time high. This whole move happens in here, and then as Bitcoin's going up to its high, Solana's really pulling itself back in here. But I've noticed a couple of other charts that I started kind of watching to say, hey, look, I'm seeing similarities in here. If we start seeing some type of move that happens like this, then suddenly they're going to look a whole lot like what this chart looked like. And really, this all happened for Solana with a nearly 80% crash. It actually comes in at 79.33% in here for this correction before the big explosive alt season and all of crypto happened all throughout here. Which if I switch us over here to where this is the altcoin market cap, here's Solana doing all this price action in here, right? This is the actual alt season for the cryptocurrency market all in here for that massive wave there for Solana. But the altcoin market had yet to actually go into expansion at this point. However, Solana was one of these kind of exciting things that was new, had gotten a pretty big pump prior to all that, going up over 800%, and then followed by a 79% correction in here with a very intriguing structure that I've been kind of monitoring for the last week just to see if those things would show up on other assets. And so over here on the left, I actually have Solana there from back in 2020. Right here, I have SWI, and right over here, I have Celestia, which is TIA. I'm not advocating for you to buy these. I'm not sitting here telling you these are going to pump to the moon. I'm just showing you structures in here and price behavior that has happened in here to show how these have done a lot of the same similar behavior coming off of these highs. They all fall off of their highs, consolidate, then continue to break down, fall off their highs, consolidate, continue to break down, fall off the highs, consolidate, continue to break down. They all come in for these little back tests that happen in here. Right after the breakdown occurs from that price level on each of them, a big plunge, 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 recovers, unable to get through the back test, recovers, unable to get through the back test, and then recovers, unable to get through the back test, followed by one new low. And structurally, they all have the precise same structure. And like we mentioned with Solana, pulling down 79%, looking over here at SWI, 79%, and then over here on Celestia, 81%. 79, 79, 81. And really just all kind of a break of a level, throwback, new low, throw back, new low, throw back, new low. And so the question would be, does it become appropriate for that to be happening right here? Would you be looking for something like that to show up? Well, like we showed over there on Solana, when was the time it took off? It took off with the altcoin market. Where are we at in this situation? We're right here at this exact point. We're right here at this exact point. You have the technical confluence between those points of when that would occur. So we're often looking at things like the XRP price chart, which shows us that's where we'd be at if we were completing this whole thing. We look at that same thing over here when it comes to these dominances, but I also found it very intriguing because these are those newer assets, right? These are the ones that kind of came out really within the last, year and a half, doing that same thing as like Solana, where we saw it do like an 800% rise over here. That's really kind of similar to what we saw happen in these assets as well. 500, 850, like Solana, 880, followed by 79%, 81. But what would you need for that? You need to be seeing a dynamic shift happening in the market. We see these things over here when we're looking at things like XRP, or we even used Monero as an example last week. And we see these things over here in the dominances, but we also have some similar price behavior of what was a new asset back in 2020 with some of the newer assets that we've had here in 2023 and 2024. And it's one thing to just look at the price charts and say, hey, my brain can pick that up and say, hey, that's what this was, right? An immediate fall off of the peak, support level that broke and it got back tested and flushed a new low, right? Immediate fall off the peak, support broke, back tested with a new low, off the peak, support, back tested, new low. But then you say to yourself, okay, so the structure, it looks great, but what was happening to the market here, right? What was the dynamic that happened in the market here? And it was that we entered that phase where the dynamic shifted in the market into altcoins versus Bitcoin. And really, it seems that here in 2024, it's way more focused on this safety trade rather than just Bitcoin alone. But outside of just like looking at fractals and saying, time is here, time has arrived, time is here, time has arrived. Hey, here's a couple other assets that are creating similar structures and capitulation moments that were also very similar to that of what occurred before those moments happened in there. So when it comes to Bitcoin, a lot of mixed pictures in here going on with this. It would be really nice to get prices through here to kind of negate that and to really flash that hope and optimism that it really is just one of these things that have happened in here. But one of those things that did happen in here back in 2016 and 17 is the first ones to flash the signal from here were the altcoins. It was the altcoin show from this moment in 2017. This right here, all of this is your alt season galore. This is the insanity. So if this happens, what we should see is the first flashing signals coming from over here, because that is what happened in 2017. Bitcoin didn't give the first signal. It was actually the altcoin market, which you could see over here on things like Ethereum, Litecoin, and XRP, all starting to really get roaring well before you ever even get back up in here into the all-time high for Bitcoin. Really, these are the first things to flash that signal. And I think that's kind of one of the missing points happening throughout there in the crypto market, is recognizing that this was it. It wasn't Bitcoin. It was the altcoin market in here. So it would seem that if you're looking for some type of early signal or flashing to tell you, hey, Bitcoin's going to be okay, then just kind of looking at it on the price on, hey, if it goes through this particular number, that means everything is okay. Really, there should be signs flashing all here in the altcoin market that it is actually okay. And that's really kind of the thing we're all kind of sitting back right here now, biting our fingernails to see, does that make itself present? And well, what we saw yesterday is we saw at least something you would want to see in here, is you would want to at least see those first signs show up there right on time, as we have entered into the time frame that every single one of these have happened at, to get that first flash of hope in there. So hopefully that ends up being the case. We're all just still kind of living in the moment right now after yesterday's chaos, and hopefully something makes itself present soon. So we'll keep it kind of short and sweet for today, waiting for something really obvious to happen in the market to give us that additional signal, either exploding volume or the altcoins giving some type of early signal at some point right now. But we're just kind of in a wait and see. But I wanted to show you a couple of those other charts that I've been looking at that had a little more confluence, that, hey, we've seen this also before. We've seen extreme fear happen before. And when it did exactly this is what happened next. And that kind of has some confluence with other things that we're looking at right now. In addition to, if you're a cycle theorist, well, August is your month for it to prove itself. So I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. I want to thank you all for watching. If you'd like, check out the newsletter over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. I audio record all of these personally, so I will read them to you and go through the charts on there for you. You can also check out bcbacker.com, where there's over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. There are links in the descriptions of each of my videos to bcbacker.com and to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys were able to breathe today with a little bit of green on the board, and we'll check in on it again tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.